Oshi no Ko Season 3 opens with a quiet time skip, and at first glance, everything seems to be going well. Miyako receives a call from someone who wants to hire Ruby. Ever since Pop-In 2, B. Kamachi's popularity has exploded and job offers are coming in non-stop. A large part of that success comes from Mem. She's practically put her own YouTube channel on hold to focus entirely on the group, posting more videos, forming new partnerships, and keeping B. Kamachi constantly visible. And it's clearly paying off. Akane's career is also thriving, with roles in movies and television. But the most surprising rise belongs to Aqua. On top of acting, he's now working as a model and appearing on a talk show, putting him in the public eye more than ever. After recording a new B. Kamachi video, Mem suggests going out together. Everyone agrees, except Kana. She quietly declines and heads home alone. As she walks through the crowd, Aqua's words echo in her mind. The moment he told her he would start dating Akane. At a small shop selling idol merchandise, a group of clerks watches B. Kamachi's solo live concert. One of them is excited, convinced the group will someday perform in massive arenas. Another doubts it, arguing that only idols backed by huge companies ever reach that level. But an older clerk points out that the internet has changed everything. With enough fans and patience, even small groups can rise. Still, there's a harsh reality. Groups like B. Kamachi can disappear just as quickly as they rise. They notice Kana seems to have lost her shine, and Ruby doesn't feel like the same person anymore. After the concert, Kana asks Miyako to drop her off somewhere else. Once alone, she sits on a set of stairs and relives her memories with Aqua, every shared moment now weighing heavily on her heart. Mem senses something is wrong and goes to check on her. When she asks if it's about Aqua, Kana finally breaks. She admits that Aqua has been avoiding her completely, locking himself in his room when she's around and skipping their concerts altogether. Kana knows Aqua and Akane could be a good couple and she wants to support them, but she can't handle being ignored. Unable to hold it in any longer, she breaks down in public, crying and calling Aqua an idiot. Mem takes Kana somewhere safe to rest, then goes to find Aqua. He tries to brush her off, claiming he's too tired to talk, but Mem knows this might be their only chance. She insists, and Aqua follows her home. They talk casually at first, about school, work, and Aqua's plan to study medicine, until the conversation turns to Kana. Mem tells him plainly that something he's doing is hurting her and even affecting her performances. Suddenly, Aqua snaps. He admits he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows he's hurting Kana, but there's something he fears even more. When idols get involved romantically, fans turn cruel. They insult them, harass them, and sometimes even attack them. As Aqua speaks, memories of his mother flood his mind. He refuses to let Kana suffer the same fate. Mem had always assumed Kana was the one desperately in love with Aqua, but now she realizes the truth. It's Aqua who's sacrificing himself to protect her. Seeing how broken he is, Mem embraces him, comforting him as he finally lets his guard down. At school, Frill excitedly tells Aqua she's a big fan of his talk show. She believes they'll all work together someday, Aqua, Ruby, and Minami included. Ruby simply smiles. The scene cuts to reveal why. Ruby has secretly appeared on Aqua's talk show, completely catching him off guard. After the episode airs, Aqua confronts the producer, Kaburagi, only to learn that the appearance was Ruby's idea. He assumes her agency must be guiding her well. But then we see the truth. Ruby is meeting privately with Ichigo Saito. The episode ends with a quiet but unsettling message.
The episode begins with Ruby Hoshino confronting Ichigo Saito. Ruby follows Ichigo and directly asks him to stop avoiding her. Ichigo tells her to leave him alone and reminds her that he is no longer an agency president. Ruby refuses to back down and tells him that he was the person closest to her mother, Ai Hoshino, which means he is also the closest person to the truth behind her murder. Ruby demands to know who her father is. Ichigo angrily replies that he does not know and says that if he did, he would have killed the man himself. Ruby then asks asks for the contact details of everyone who was involved with I in the past. Ichigo refuses again, warning her that many of those people are now powerful figures. If Ruby angers them, the consequences would fall on Miyako, who is currently running Strawberry Productions. Ruby says she is becoming famous herself. Ichigo mocks her, saying she is still unknown and that no tabloid would even care if she caused a scandal. Ruby then proposes a deal. She says that once she becomes famous enough that those people want to meet her, Ichigo must introduce them. Ichigo agrees and calls it a promise. Ruby then asks Ichigo to teach her how to promote herself. Ichigo refuses at first, but Ruby reminds him that she followed his advice before and landed a reporter job on the TV show Dig Deep, Chase the Impossible. Ichigo acknowledges that the show has many industry eyes on it and explains that if Ruby wants to succeed, she must stand out. The episode shifts to the filming of Dig Deep, Chase the Impossible. Ichigo explains that variety shows require clear character roles. He uses Aqua as an example, pointing out that Aqua plays a sharp-tongued, toxic, cool guy character. Because of this, the show naturally gives him lines where he can criticize others. Ichigo tells Ruby that her original image, cute, clever, and considerate, will not work. Instead, he instructs her to act dumb, disrespectful, and defiant, and to fully commit to playing the clown. Ruby follows this advice during filming. During a segment where cast members are asked about silly mistakes, Ruby claims she nearly set her apartment on fire by boiling hand soap. The story shocks everyone and turns into a running joke. Aqua joins in by roasting her, making the moment even funnier. Ruby fully commits to the role, allowing herself to be called stupid on air. The cast realizes she is extremely good at this character. Behind the scenes, Ichigo notices that Ruby is being guided by someone and acknowledges that she can be used effectively in future segments. Ichigo then gives Ruby another important lesson: be nice to assistant directors, because they will become directors in the future. Ruby takes this advice seriously and starts treating assistant director Yoshizumi very kindly, bringing him tea, chatting with him, and showing concern for his health. Yoshizumi becomes confused and flattered. The episode then focuses on the harsh reality of TV production. Yoshizumi is shown being yelled at by his superiors for delays, permissions, and failures. Ruby overhears explanations about how variety shows are structured, how directors lead units, and how assistant directors do all the hard labor. The staff explains that budgets are shrinking, staff numbers are lower, and overtime is common. The show plans a new segment about cosplayers, timed with Summer Comic-Con. Director Urishibara instructs Yoshizumi to recruit cosplayers who are provocative and willing to share personal details. Yoshizumi struggles badly, receiving rejection after rejection. Many cosplayers refuse to appear on TV. Ruby notices Yoshizumi's exhaustion and asks if she can help. Yoshizumi hesitantly asks whether Ruby knows any cosplayers. The episode briefly shifts focus to Aqua and Akane Kurakawa. Aqua walks Akane home in the rain. Akane internally reflects on their relationship, acknowledging that Aqua may still have feelings for Kana Arima, but chooses to accept their relationship as it is. She appreciates Aqua's kindness and believes he is genuinely trying to be honest with her. Back to the production problem, Ruby starts taking action. She asks Aqua for technical equipment and begins working on a solution. Ruby then visits Mimi Yoshizumi, Yoshizumi's younger sister. Mimi is revealed to be a popular VTuber and cosplayer with over 300,000 subscribers, known online as Suzune Kaomimi. Mimi refuses at first, saying she only cosplays at home and edits her photos heavily. Ruby pressures her, reminding her that her cosplay account is still active and promising to forget embarrassing posts if she helps. Eventually, Mimi agrees. The production team believes the cosplay segment is secured. However, just before filming, a major problem arises. The show does not receive permission to use Tokyo Blade costumes. The director admits this at the last moment, causing chaos. The staff scrambles to fix the situation. They decide to use original or modified costumes instead. Ruby's costume becomes a serious issue, but the staff manages to find a free-size replacement. The episode ends with the production team rushing to salvage the segment, while Ruby's calculated actions clearly show how she is climbing the industry step by step, using strategy instead of innocence. The episode begins inside the women's dressing room of a TV studio, where Ruby Hoshino reunites with Minami Kotobuki. The two are excited to work together again on the variety show Dig Deep, Chase the Impossible. Ruby is then introduced to Mimi Yoshizumi, a quiet girl participating in the same shoot. Mimi explains she's also involved with the program, and although shy, hints that her career is somewhat similar to voice acting. Minami then introduces another participant, a cosplayer named Maya, whom Minami personally recommended for the show. Maya specializes in cosplaying shonen manga characters and recognizes Minami from her pinup work. Their conversation quickly turns awkward when Maya mentions that much of her content is R18, which surprises Ruby. As they discuss the shoot, Maya explains that the production suddenly demanded a last-minute costume change the day before filming. She managed only because her agency had spare costumes available. Despite being inconvenienced, Maya stays professional and downplays the issue. Later, the show's director Urushibara arrives loudly on set, immediately complaining about the heat and mocking the cosplayers for wearing heavy costumes. He casually asks to take photos of Maya, then proceeds to make explicit and invasive comments, questioning her income from adult content, her relationships with photographers, and even her sexual experiences while in costume. Maya is clearly uncomfortable, but endures the situation until the interview ends. After leaving, Maya vents her frustration online. On social media, she posts a long tweet criticizing the show for its disrespect towards cosplayers, the sudden costume change, and the inappropriate questions she was asked. She explains how much effort cosplay requires, how hurt and betrayed she feels, and announces she is considering quitting cosplay entirely. The tweet goes viral instantly, receiving millions of views and triggering massive backlash against the show. Viewers condemn the staff, accuse the director of harassment, and declare that television is outdated and abusive. Later, the production staff desperately contacts Maya and asks her to delete the tweet. She refuses and directly confronts them, explaining that she takes pride in her work and that being asked sexually invasive questions without warning crossed a clear line. She also reveals how she once struggled financially and turned to adult content as a last resort, making the show's treatment even more insulting. She emphasizes that the costume issue hurt her the most because she had worked all night to prepare a Tokyo Blade cosplay at the show's request, only for it to be discarded at the last minute. She states clearly that she tweeted not out of malice, but to protect other cosplayers from similar treatment. Inside the studio, management decides to cancel the cosplay episode and considers issuing an apology. Director Urushibara dismisses Maya as an attention seeker, but assistant director Yoshizumi pushes back, warning that this behavior is no longer acceptable in the modern era. Then, Urushibara delivers a blunt speech about television. He claims that Dig Deep exists specifically to push boundaries that broadcast TV can't, that controversy and immorality are inseparable from entertainment, and that he knowingly plays the role of a problematic director just to survive in the industry. Despite admitting fault over the costume issue, he insists the system itself is broken. Yoshizumi later reflects on her own future, expressing despair over the exploitative nature of the industry and her fear that freedom doesn't exist even at the top. As public outrage grows, Yoshizumi becomes afraid she might be fired. That's when Aqua Hoshino approaches her with a proposal. Aqua pitches a special episode of Dig Deep, one that directly addresses the controversy. The idea is to turn the scandal into content by investigating the incident itself, inviting Maya into the studio, and openly confronting the mistakes made by the production. The staff agrees. The special episode airs with Aqua as a guest, Maya appearing in person, and the show openly acknowledging the backlash. The hosts apologize to Maya and invite her to explain what happened from her perspective. Maya details the inappropriate questions she was asked and explains that sexual topics require trust and consent. Without respect or warning, such questions become harassment. However, she admits that after hearing the staff side, she no longer feels as angry, as long as changes are made. The episode then investigates the Tokyo Blade cosplay rights issue. Aqua explains that permission was assumed but never properly confirmed due to poor communication. The licensing team reveals that Tokyo Blade requires strict approval, often involving the creator directly. To clarify further, Kana Arima appears as a field reporter and interviews Abiko Samejima, the creator of Tokyo Blade. Abiko explains that cosplay itself is generally allowed and even encouraged, but she opposes exploitative or disrespectful use of her work. She emphasizes that creators only intervene when they feel the love for the work is missing. Back in the studio, the focus returns to Maya. She says she's willing to delete her tweet if genuine steps are taken to prevent future incidents. Then Aqua reveals his final move. Director Urushibara appears on stage wearing a handmade Tokyo Blade cosplay created by himself. He delivers a sincere apology, admitting he failed to respect cosplay culture and promising structural changes going forward. At first, Maya is shocked and angry, calling the apology ridiculous, but when she realizes Urushibara personally struggled to make the costume, sewing, fixing mistakes, and working late nights, her tone softens. Urushibara admits he finally understands how painful it would be to have such hard work dismissed. Satisfied that her message has been understood, Maya agrees to delete the tweet. The episode ends with the staff relieved that the crisis has been resolved, the cosplay episode salvaged, and Dig Deep continuing as before. In the final moments, Aqua quietly questions Ruby about how much of this entire incident she orchestrated behind the scenes. Ruby denies everything. Season 3, Episode 4 begins with Ruby confronting Aqua about the controversy surrounding her recent television appearance. Aqua asks whether she deliberately set everything up, implying she masterminded the chaos. Ruby denies being some all-powerful god, but admits she was not entirely uninvolved. Because Aqua is her brother, she decides to tell him the truth. Ruby explains that she got the idea from Aqua himself. She saw how Aqua used the controversy from the dating reality show to draw attention, gain public sympathy, and bring Akane to his side, and she copied that method. The strategy worked perfectly, pulling massive attention from the audience and the industry. Ruby explains her motivation. She recalls advice she once heard: be kind to assistant directors because they eventually become directors. While that made sense, she says she does not have the time to wait years. She wants to reach the top as fast as possible. When director Urushibara thanks her for saving the episode and asks how to repay her, Ruby directly requests that he cast her in future projects. She explains there is no need to win over assistants if she can go straight for directors. Aqua realizes Ruby intentionally dragged the show into trouble to secure Urushibara's favor. Ruby says the situation was partly coincidence. While researching the program Dig Deep, Chase the Impossible before appearing, she discovered serious issues in its production methods. Ruby recalls agreeing to appear on Dig Deep, only to realize the show was completely different from what had been pitched. The staff refused to take no for an answer, and one production member was verbally abusing a younger assistant director. Seeing this, Ruby felt compelled to act. Knowing that controversy would explode, Ruby suggested inviting Maya, a creator infamous for publicly calling out staff members and sicking her followers on them through social media. Ruby admits she expected Maya to repeat her pattern. Aqua questions why Ruby would associate with her, but Ruby states clearly that she hates loudmouths like Maya. She criticizes modern whistleblowing culture, saying that while exposing wrongdoing can improve the world, many now use it to attack people they personally dislike. Online mobs pile on to targets purely for entertainment, and both sides are corrupted. Then, Ruby connects this behavior to their mother Ai's past. She recalls how someone once uploaded a photo of Ai casually talking with an old acquaintance in public. The media immediately framed it as a dating scandal. Articles accused Ai of secretly meeting a man, and fans flooded the internet with hateful comments. They assumed the man was her boyfriend, accused Ai of betrayal, demanded refunds, burned merchandise, and hurled explicit insults at her. Ruby remembers how cruel the public was, how quickly admiration turned into abuse, and how Ai's life was made miserable by baseless assumptions. Returning to the present, Ruby asks why Aqua still looks disappointed. She argues that nobody was hurt this time. The assistant director benefited, the director improved his behavior, and Minami gained exposure. Ruby insists she she merely nudged events that were bound to happen anyway, and declares that luck is on her side. Aqua asks whether she is truly okay with this outcome. He reminds her that she once said she hated lies and manipulation, and wanted to be an idol driven by love and passion. He questions whether this is the idol she wanted to become. Ruby responds that I was also a liar, hiding her children to continue being an idol. She says love and passion alone are not enough to survive in show business. Manipulation suits her better, and she promises Aqua she will seize the spotlight soon. The narration confirms that Ruby was right. Soon after, work begins pouring in for her. The episode shifts to Ruby's rapid rise. News headlines announce her increasing popularity, her award wins, and B. Komachi's explosive growth. Ruby wins the Newcomer of the Year award, with commentators comparing her to Ai and speculating whether she might surpass her. Clips from Dig Deep replay, emphasizing that the show's controversy initially launched her fame. Her looks, comedic persona, communication skills, and ad-libbing make her highly sought after. B. Komachi's YouTube channel explodes from 300,000 subscribers to nearly 1 million in just 6 months, driven almost entirely by Ruby's popularity. Ruby declares in interviews that B. Komachi will fulfill Ai's dream and one day perform at the Tokyo Dome. Behind the scenes, the agency struggles to keep up. Miyako is overwhelmed with schedules, meetings, contracts, interviews, and industry obligations. She admits she nearly collapsed from overwork and credits a former assistant director, Yoshizumi, who left his production job to become Ruby's manager. Miyako realizes Ruby now has the power to change people's careers with a single word. Despite her pride, Miyako worries she lacks the connections and experience of major agencies and fears she may be holding Ruby back. Later, Ichigo tracks down Aqua. He accuses Aqua of manipulating Ruby, giving her ideas and secretly securing her jobs. Ichigo reveals that Ruby often disappears on her days off, and he followed her to find the truth. He confronts Aqua about abandoning Miyako after Ai's death, but admits he now believes Aqua is chasing the Tokyo Dome dream again. Aqua denies it. He says he helps Ruby through industry connections gained from favors and sympathy after Ai's death, driven by guilt towards Miyako. Ichigo urges Aqua to return openly to Strawberry Productions, but Aqua refuses, stating he has unfinished business. He declares his intent to kill the man responsible for Ai's murder. Ichigo is shocked, arguing Aqua was only Ai's agent. Aqua reveals the DNA tests identified their father as Seijiro Uehara, who is already dead, meaning the revenge should be over. Ichigo rejects this conclusion. He explains that Seijiro died before Ai moved residences, making it impossible for him to have orchestrated the murder. He suggests paternity fraud, pointing out the timeline doesn't add up. Ichigo insists the mastermind must still be alive. Aqua initially denies this, claiming everything is over, but his certainty collapses. His inner monologue spirals as guilt and hatred resurface. The peace he briefly felt vanishes as his obsession with revenge returns. Aqua encounters Kana in a moment of emotional collapse. Overwhelmed and panicking, he screams at her to shut up. Kana, hurt and confused, believes she did something to make Aqua hate her and apologizes through tears. Later, Akane calls Aqua. She nervously talks about the Japan Film Awards and asks to meet him afterwards. Aqua declines, saying he doesn't feel like seeing anyone. Akane senses something is wrong, but reassures him she will always be there. After the call, Akane reflects that Aqua has panic attacks whenever Ai comes to mind, and hopes she can live peacefully without knowing the truth. At the award ceremony, Akane wins the Rookie Actor Award. While celebrating, attention is drawn to white roses sent by a former La 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 actor who now runs his own agency. As Akane reviews old rehearsal footage, she notices a man whose appearance and acting style closely resemble Aqua. She recalls that the murderer brought white roses to Ai, just like the ones present now. Akane connects the dots. She realizes that Aqua's biological father may not have been Seijiro, and that someone from La 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 could be responsible. She concludes that the mastermind manipulated events from the shadows, leaked Ai's address, incited the stalker, and orchestrated the murder. The episode ends with Akane recognizing the man's face and realizing how closely he resembles Aqua, confirming the truth Aqua doesn't yet know. Episode 5 begins with Akane reflecting on Hikaru Kamiki. She pieces together the timeline of Ai's pregnancy. When Ai was 16 and pregnant, Kamiki was only 15, still a middle school student. But when Taiki Himekawa was conceived, Kamiki would have been even younger, around 11 years old. The disturbing timeline highlights how twisted the history of the entertainment industry really is. Akane realizes that even if Kamiki is exposed as the mastermind behind everything, he was a minor at the time. Legally, he would not face serious punishment. That means if Aqua finds him, there is no legal way to bring him to justice. The only path left for Aqua would be revenge by his own hands. Determined to prevent that, Akane decides she cannot allow Aqua and Kamiki to come into contact. She resolves to handle the investigation herself. The next day, casual talk about rehearsal takes place, but Akane continues digging into Kamiki's background. She believes she has found the man who ruined Aqua's life, though it is still speculation. For now, she decides to keep investigating and confirm the truth. Akane calls Aqua. He sounds tired from walking around a lot lately. He mentions being exhausted. Akane lies slightly and says she is trying to lose weight. Aqua reassures her that he loves her the way she is. The conversation turns emotional. Aqua thanks Akane for being by his side and helping him little by little. He admits he feels reluctant to let go of the time they share. Aqua then asks her what he should do. Should he forget everything and try to live his own life, or continue forward? Akane firmly tells him he must make his own decisions. They are two independent people choosing to be together. Any other kind of relationship would become unhealthy. However, once he decides, she promises to support him fully and help carry his burdens together. After the call, Akane reflects that Aqua is still imprisoned by the trauma of his mother's death. She believes the day will come when he is freed from it, and she will make sure no one interferes. The focus then shifts to Kana Arima. Someone mentions that their VTuber sister has been exposed after people found old videos of her streaming with her real face and making problematic statements. She gets cancelled and has to stop streaming temporarily. A suggestion is made that since her real face is already known, she could join B. Komachi. The idea is brushed off casually. We then see B. Komachi's situation. The group's subscriber growth has stabilized revenue, but Kana reflects that the group's success is entirely due to Ruby. Kana has not landed any acting roles recently. She only gets idol work as part of package deals because of Ruby. She feels like nothing more than an added bonus, someone leeching off Ruby's popularity. She begins questioning why she became an idol in the first place. Later, Kana meets actor Mako Azami at a bar. Kana hesitates because she is now an idol and worries about being seen in such a place. Mako brushes it off, saying many idols drink there. Kana orders oolong tea at first, but is pressured into drinking to maintain the atmosphere. Director Masanori Shima arrives. He is an award-winning, fast-rising director. Kana realizes that if he takes an interest in her, she could land an acting role. She stays, hoping this opportunity might help her return to serious acting. At dinner, Shima talks about the flaws of the Japanese entertainment industry. He criticizes how actors lack protection compared to Hollywood, where guilds enforce rules. In Japan, agencies and distributors hold too much power, and real acting ability is often overlooked. Kana feels relieved hearing him speak seriously about valuing actors. Shima expresses interest in Kana's talent. He tells her she has real ability, but lacks someone who can properly draw it out. He suggests getting to know her better before deciding on casting her in his next film. He invites her to continue their conversation at his office. Kana hesitates, but goes along, believing this might be her chance to secure a meaningful acting role. At the office, it becomes clear the situation is personal rather than professional. Shima openly admits he only works with people who interests him and suggests a don't ask, don't tell marriage arrangement with his wife. Kana considers compromising herself for the sake of reviving her acting career. She thinks if it truly gets her back into real acting, she might do anything, but at the last moment, she breaks down and refuses. She confesses she cannot do it because she likes someone else. She cries while venting about the boy who confuses her feelings, someone who ignores her, yet occasionally shows kindness, giving her false hope. Shima finds her emotional honesty entertaining, but doesn't force her. Kana ultimately decides she will not gain roles through compromise. She resolves to earn work the right way, through her talent alone. The episode ends with Kana walking away, determined to start over honestly.